Big fluff.
Doesn't end like this.
What do you want us to do, Hoeber? We have no ships left.
We have one. We've got a battleship.
Are you crazy? That's a museum.
Not today.
Hey everybody, I'm Joel Murphy.
And I'm Andy McIntyre.
And this is Silver Linings Playback, the podcast where we watch maligned movies and we find their silver linings.
And it's cash grab month because nothing says grabbing cash like June. And we're watching one of the cash grabbiest movies of the 21st century, 2012's Battleship.
Battleship, baby. No, so last week we did Ready Player One, and I feel like, that's pretty good, right? There's a lot of commercial tie-ins, but this is what it's all about. This is a movie based on a board game, and a board game that does not have a story. This is what cash grabs are all about.
Yeah, there has been one good movie based on a board game, and that's Clue.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yep. That's really emboldened them. But yeah, and what's fascinating about this, there's so much I think to unpack, but this is a board game that is also based on a sort of non-copyrightable gaming idea. The idea of Battleship predates Hasbro owning the game of Battleship that we're all familiar with. And so you can it's a generic term and a generic game that they're hoping to sell a specific product for,
the type of product where maybe I just got a hit against you.
Yeah, we should. Now, this is a great time to mention that you and I, that as cynical as we're going to be this episode, it did work on us because we
100% worked.
We each, it finally, I'm sure this movie's got to be in the red, but if it's starting to turn a profit, it's got to be because you and I both spent $2.99 in the App Store to buy the digital version of Battleship from Hasbro so that we can play it against each other. And we are currently playing it as we do the show. We'll try to throw some video up for
we'll
the video.
Check in periodically.
And we'll check in periodically. But yes, you got excited because
I just got a hit.
You just got a hit. Yes. So it's clearly stepping up.
It's getting intense.
Yeah. Okay. I gotta do something here. I gotta make a move. All right. Miss.
Oh, miss.
Okay. All right. But
pressure's Murphy.
We're not gonna just talk about Battleship, the game that we're playing. We are gonna talk about the movie, which I think this is important though, because everyone I assume is familiar with the game where, you have a
10x10 grid.
Yep. 5
ships of varying size. And your job is to try to guess where your opponent's ships are in order to sink them.
Right. And so, Peter Berg, who had a lot of success with Friday Night Lights, both the movie and the show, is then, tasked with, okay, turn that into a movie. And it's not as easy as you would think, because again, inherently, what is the story? And then obviously we've got to talk about what did he think the story was? Because inherently it's a game, but he wanted to make it real with actual battleships. And so, you just sunk.
And speaking of real, I just sunk your carrier.
Yeah, you sunk my carrier. Andy scores the first First Blood.
Blow.
Yeah, First Blood. But yeah, so they wanted to make it with real battleships, so they already have a problem in that they don't still use real battleships, which that's kind of what the clip that we heard at the beginning. Oh, I got a hit.
Ooh, got a hit.
I'm back in the game, baby.
And apparently you get to keep going if you get a hit.
That is exciting. All right, but we have to remember to do the show.
We have to remember to do the show. So yeah, this movie, like this, of all the board games that you could make into a movie, I think this is one of the thinnest supremacies, because they decide to make it about aliens.
Yes, which on some part of me, I'm a little sympathetic towards, because I think they didn't want to make it. I did just sink one of your ships.
Joel, you just sank my battleship.
I sunk your battleship, which, yeah, so I think that they didn't want to make it about fighting another country, and I guess they didn't want to make up a fictional country, so they went aliens, but I already think that's too far outside of...
Yes.
You're taking too big of a swing, I think, but I understand the logic. But so then let's just accept aliens. I'll give them aliens because, again, I think you don't want to sit there and go like, they're going to fight insert name of country. But then they take aliens. And now you've got a bunch of problems to solve, which are the aliens have to come to Earth. They have to be in the ocean. And you have to find a reason why only ships are fighting them.
Yes.
And
and it's a thin premise. They tie it into like NASA's essentially SETI lab, and trying to contact extraterrestrial life, and they send a message to like an exoplanet that is very Earth-like, and they get a response, and that response is the aliens just throwing meteors full of other aliens at Earth. Yeah,
so the aliens end up in the water. Then they're trying to get control of the satellite that they connected with, presumably to get the rest.
Got another hit.
Ooh, Andy got another hit. But yeah, so they want to get control of a satellite to I assume bring a bunch of other aliens to Earth.
I got your I don't know, destroyer or something. I just sunk a ship.
Whatever one is 3.
I think that's your submarine.
Yeah, I don't know how you know what ship it is, but that's fine. But yeah, so they that's the premise, is they got to stop the aliens from getting to the satellite to bring all the other aliens. But then to make it Battleship, the aliens have a bubble that serves as the 10x10 grid that traps Taylor Kitsch and company into the very finite. Oh, I got a hit. All right. But they, you know what I mean? They want them to be confined to an area so that, because the other funny thing with it being Battleship is, well, we have to cut off all other, there can't be planes.
No, there cannot be planes.
Not in Battleship.
Not in this battle. Not with these ships.
So, yeah, I think those are kind of the big hurdles that they have to overcome. And then it is funny too that it's like, so battleships are decommissioned. They don't use battleships anymore. And that, again, at the clip at the beginning, they kind of try to address that. But then also they still at the end kind of have all the planes come in to really save the day. It's like the battleship scores a big victory, Did I not sink this one that's like 2x2?
You did not.
Okay. What is it, like an L? Is there an L-shaped one?
Who knows? Maybe I paid extra for the fancy shaped ships. I did not.
It's now Tetris. Yeah, I don't know if people
got one.
But now I'm in trouble. But I got 2, but then I missed on either side. So I can't figure out the configuration of why it didn't sink it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You do know, and you're not telling me. No,
because that's the game. That's the Battleship.
Oh, now I sunk it.
I see you sunk by little 2. The 2 is the destroyer, I think.
Oh, that's interesting though.
It is interesting.
Little light bulbs going off.
Yeah.
If you're listening to the audio, and God, I hope this is listenable.
I guarantee it isn't.
But I was trying to figure out because it was like a Tetris shape. I've now sunk another ship because you had two ships kissing in the night. They were Spider-Man kissing.
They were.
So, okay.
They call it Dunst McGuiring.
That's exactly what they call it.
Because it rolls off the tongue.
Yeah. So those are sort of the major things they have to figure out. And it feels very contrived. And then they try to do little things like the alien ships shoot what are essentially the red pegs from this game.
Yeah, they shoot bombs that are basically they look like the pegs from the original Battleship game.
Yeah, and they try to do some Battleship things. I think when the movie is the most successful is when they're showing a grid on the ship that is the equivalent to what, a Battleship grid is like, and they're firing and they're trying to hit the ship. But it's a very uphill battle to try to take a game that isn't that a game that you essentially play when you're, it's there. It's after
this is a game
school.
for when, it's a rainy day and you're bored of the NES, so you play a round of Battleship. Yes,
and it was fun. It's fun to actually have the physical plastic ones and put them back to back. But it's one, I don't think there's any way to sell it for someone who wasn't going to play it. And I would argue that of all the many failures that I think the film Battleship has, perhaps its biggest failure is that
casting Taylor Kitsch.
We will get back to that, but I think one of its biggest failures is just that. I got another hit. Oof. All right. That I don't think if you weren't familiar with Battleship and you're a kid, say, and you watch this movie and you're a kid, so you have bad taste, so you like this movie, I don't think you walked away from this wanting to buy the board game. And if you did and got the board game, I do not think you'd be happy.
No, I think if you expected anything related to the game from this movie, you would not be you'd be very upset because it's not the same.
Can we talk about your strategy to have all your ships touching? Because I have now sunk another one of your ships. So you have we talked about the Dunst McGuire kiss, but then it also it almost looks like a hook now. So it was an interesting, it was a bold strategy, I think.
See, I figured if you didn't, it was a long shot. Well, I stand by it.
It's one of those things, you're taking up a small amount of space. So if I continue to just miss other things, it's great. But if you find that region, and it did confuse me. So, like this movie.
Way to tie it back in.
Yeah, everyone thought we were too focused. I don't know if this was a good idea or not. But
I'm having fun playing Battleship with a good friend. I want to say that.
I do think that's the most important. Uh-oh. You got a hit. All right. But since you mentioned Taylor Kitsch, let's talk about, because we on this show previously have done John Carter, which came out in the same year as this movie. Yeah. 2012, which apparently what the Mayans really prophesized was the end of Taylor Kitsch's movie career. That was what the 2012 calendar was counting down to. Because
pretty much.
He was very much poised to be a big star. This is Peter Berg, like I said. It's the same guy who did Friday Night Lights. So he's taken his guy who was a breakout hit.
Big Riggins, baby.
Yeah, from that show. And what's so funny and interesting now that we're here 12 years later is, obviously, if you looked at it and thought this kid, Berg's putting this kid from Friday Night Lights into this movie, he's going to be a big star. And then Jesse Plemons is also in this movie in a very small role. And I think if you asked executives, I think Andy is about to win. But
I am. And I just want to point out that this game of Battleship took 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And we're going to make a 2-hour and 11-minute movie.
Okay.
Based on this silly rainy day board game that I played a lot of Battleship as a kid. I had fun playing it.
Can we just it's now showing me I was pretty close to your last ship.
You were pretty close. Yeah.
Okay. So I will take my L, and we're going to stop playing because we're now going to focus.
Now we're going to focus, but it was good. It was good while it lasted.
Congratulations, Giuseppe Ferrara, on your victory.
Hey, Bill Karslake, well met. Well met.
Okay. All right. The game is done. We're putting that away.
Yes, we're putting it away. $3 well spent.
But yes, I think obviously they were betting big on Taylor Kitsch in 2012, and 12 years later, what's clear is Jesse Plemons just was named Best Actor at Cannes for a new movie that he's in, and works all the time, and has won an Emmy, has won a few Emmys, been nominated for like 3 Oscars. And to go back to where we started, the reference that we made earlier, married Kirsten Dunst as well. He did marry Kirsten Dunst. That's true. Plemons is living his best life for sure. And he's come a long way from being Meth Damon on Breaking Bad. Right. But it's also just, if you watched this movie, there's no indication that anyone thought he was going to be a star. He gets one scene where he talks about his pet iguana, if I remember correctly. And like, it's, you know, it's clear that he's an afterthought in this movie. And if anything, it felt like maybe Berg was like, I like this kid. Let me throw him something at his way. He can play the weird character, and joke's on everyone because he's now made a cottage industry of playing the weird character. And also just, you know, in a way, it's like Friday Night Lights in that there was the clear star that was definitely poised to take over the industry, who then went down, and the kid you never expected is now the one that is, you know, a household name and who's killing it and who is great, who, yes, also have the horribly unfortunate nickname Meth Damon, which I'm not going to pretend isn't funny. No, it's very funny. No, yeah, it's yeah, Hollywood really thought they were backing that Taylor Kitsch horse, and it didn't work. Yeah, and it's hard to say, because I think it's safe to say, like, he wasn't going to save a movie. He wasn't so charming that he saved this movie. And if anything, I imagine people ultimately were regretting the fact that they killed off Skarsgård, who also, you know, is a huge is a much bigger star. Yeah. Yeah. Like, so they kind of, you know, don't utilize the best pieces that they have. And yeah, but I don't know with Kitsch. Like, most fair I can be to him is that he had 2 movies. I think he had a 3rd movie as well in 2012. The Savages, which also flopped. Yeah. So he had 3 movies in 2012 that all didn't pan out. And I think also now for this podcast, we have to watch The Savages just to be completionist. It's just, and have Taylor on to talk about it. So Taylor Kitsch, if you're listening, and we know you are, holler at your boys. I am sympathetic to him because I definitely don't watch Battleship and go, he's the problem. And also, if you go back and listen to our John Carter episode, you and I both have a fondness for that movie. It just didn't do well. Yeah, because Martian sci-fi doesn't play in Middle America. That is where that very famous catchphrase comes from. But yeah, no, Taylor Kitsch, I don't know why he was viewed as box office poison. Well, because he had 3 movies that came out the same year. Like, I don't know why I don't know why that so much of the blame fell on his shoulders. They're like, Hollywood basically decided, no, we're not going to give this kid any more chances because 3 movies that were never going to succeed didn't succeed. Well, I mean, I think you answered your own question in that Hollywood is not a place for nuance. And so you and I can sit there and go, these were bad movies that no one could have made work. But, you know, if you're an executive, what are you going to look at? You're going to look at your own choices and the ways that you backed. Are you going to reflect and make honest assessments of your choices? No, of course not. Are you going to be like, people don't like this long haired kid? He's done in this town. Get him out of here. Go back to TV football, Big Riggins. Exactly. So, you know, that's what they did. And that's what happened. So, yep. But yeah, it's more just interesting to me that, yeah, that clearly Plemons made the right choices and became one of our best character actors working today. Now to the point where, like, when Plemons shows up, you're like, uh-oh, this Killers of the Flower Moon is really stepping it up. He's here to really throw a wrench into things.
He's here to quirk it up.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's this movie,
weird taciturn mushmouth delivery.
Do you think, let me ask you this. Is there a Battleship movie that you think could have been good?
No chance.
No, right? There's not. What do you think was the best? What's the best case? Because I don't think this is it. You think this is it?
Yeah, I don't think it's any I was thinking about this too. Like what if the premise of the movie is what if they keep it real simple and maybe it's just two brothers that are leading Navy war game exercises against each other?
Yeah.
And that's the Battleship.
Yeah. You know what's funny? So, because I was thinking about it too, which is why I asked you, which was I was thinking, because Aliens feels too big of a swing. But even if it was robots, what if it was we are tasked with testing out this new simulator.
These new drones.
Yeah, it's a drone simulator to prepare us for seafaring battles. This is going to be this new computer tech that the government spent a lot of money on. And it's gonna, it's gonna save lives. And then, of course, the AI starts thinking it's real, and it's really trying to blow up their ships. And so then I think that would have probably felt more true to the gaming spirit of what it was doing, which I don't, because there isn't that much battleshipping, even though they go to all the pains to block off a 10x10 grid, isolate it to just ships, and give little exploding pegs to the aliens. It still never feels there's maybe 10 minutes of this 2-hour and 10-minute movie that feels like they're trying to do something that approximates the board game that it's based on.
Yeah. And then there's the weird alien research stuff with Hamish Linklater. And, that's just all of it's weird.
Yeah. The B story is a B story that I don't know.
It's a B movie story.
Yes, it really is. Also, the longest I've ever seen a human being get their foot caught in a car in a movie, that I believe her foot is caught in that car for 25 minutes. If you were to clock it.
In real time.
In
That's
real
why the movie's
time.
2 hours and 11 minutes.
Yeah, in real time. It's at the end of Act 2, her shoe gets caught. And then just stays caught as the scientist and the military guy are fighting aliens. She's just, and the thing is, she gets saved. So it doesn't seem like she was trying to free herself. I think she just sat there and waited for someone else to be like, if you pull your foot out, you can actually get up.
Yeah. Yeah. This movie's stupid.
But you know what I mean? There's not much battleshipping, which I don't know. I say go full ham with this movie. And I think you were saying, do a Two Brothers, do an AI war games thing, and have a little kid that's actually playing the physical board game Battleship, and you show it on screen, and then that kid helps them. Why not?
Yeah. Why not?
Would it have been worse than this? No.
Or you do a snow globe thing at the end, and the whole movie was just two kids playing Battleship.
I would have been into that. I mean, that's Lego movie style. Just which also, you know what? In fairness, we said Clue was the only one, but Lego movie's a pretty successful Lego commercial, if we're really being honest.
Yeah,
with
but it's not based on Lego's not a board game.
True. Yeah, it's toys. Yeah, fair enough.
It's toys.
Yeah.
And you've made some decently successful movies based on toys, not necessarily good ones. Although I do like both Lego movies and Lego Batman.
Ironically, the movie Toys is not good, though.
No, the movie Toy is not good. But yeah, I'm sure there are other Dungeons and Dragons you could kind of count as a board game, although I probably would make a lot of people angry to hear me say that.
Yeah, it's really more of a real world RPG.
It's a tabletop role-playing experience.
Yeah.
Can't even really call it a game.
It's a lifestyle.
I play Dungeons and Dragons, but still, no. But it's not like they made a Candyland game or movie.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's, does the Queen's Gambit count as a chess movie?
Yeah, that was the selling point of
Chess, the movie.
Yeah. It was really Hasbro was trying to move some chess sets.
Yeah,
and they secretly funded
the centuries old game is just not hip with the kids anymore. How do we do it?
Yeah.
Anya Taylor-Joy in the 60s.
You know, for a long time, we got by with that product placement of the hero and the villain sitting down for a game of chess to show how smart they are. But that's going out of fashion. So we really got to make a big move.
Part of me would love, like, what is like the Idiocracy universe's version of that in the movies? Like, are they playing Uno against each other? Like, what is the idiots?
I think that's the Candyland movie.
Is this the Candyland movie?
That's when we finally make it.
You're stuck in the peanut butter swamp.
Candyland
is mine.
It's finally time we can say it. Candyland's a bad game. It's not.
Candyland's a terrible game.
It's not good at all. It's not fun in any sense.
No, you immediately age out of it. Like, I think maybe it's fun when you're 4.
Right. I think it's made to be a game that's like not competitive if you're a little kid who can't handle a real, like an actual game that you might lose. It's just made for a little kid to just go around the board and feel like they're playing a game.
Yeah. Whereas like Chutes and Ladders, not only does it have the spinner that's fun to flick at any age, you got Chutes and Ladders, and those are fun.
Also, you hit that shoot at the end when you're like
right
close.
at 98.
That 98 shoot, that's heartbreak. That's
a killer.
That'll scar you as a kid. You don't forget.
That will hurt.
You don't forget hitting 98.
No. Takes you all the way back to like 30. It's murder.
Also, what are you doing, Hollywood, with your cash grabs? Chutes and Ladders would be a fucking great game. Are you kidding me? If you
just do it like Squid Game style.
It's like The Rock and Kevin Hart, and you get Karen Gillan, get the whole team together and
the Jumanji crew.
Yeah, get the Jumanji crew back together, and they're literally they're in a building that they're trying to get to. It's on fire. And they're just trying to
get to the top.
And they're trying to get to the top. And Kevin Hart keeps hitting all the shoots.
And then, like, do we go back and rescue him? We got to find a shoot so we can go rescue Kevin Hart.
Yeah. Also, sorry, Jack Black. I don't know why I didn't mention you when I dropped the rest of the Jumanji crew. But we know you're there. We know that in your heart. Also, I say, if we're going to get Jack Black, also, let's get Kyle Gass and have him die in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
He falls down a chute onto spikes.
Yeah, and then, I mean, the problem would be that then for the British market, you have to make it into Snakes and Ladders.
That sounds even better.
I mean, the British version is better. It's Snakes and Ladders. I don't know.
Yeah, why aren't we doing that? Why didn't we get that? Why did we got shoots? And was America too soft to handle Snakes and Ladders?
I mean, I think America's like, but we don't slide down snakes.
And
we slide down chutes.
Meanwhile, England's like, what you mean, bro?
What do you mean, bro? You don't slide down snakes. You don't go for a slide down a snake on Saturday morning, bruv. What are you on about? In it?
Exactly. Yeah, it's how is he going to sweep the chimney?
Snakes and Ladders, the movie. Oh my God, no! This is the Hobbs and Shaw sequel we've been waiting for. It's Hobbs and Shaw, Snakes and Ladders.
Snakes and Ladders.
Snakes and Ladders.
A Fast and Furious movie. Sold 100%. And then that is the
holler
thing.
At your boys. That
is what we do. We'll do that exact reveal where at first it shoots and then it starts being snakes, and then that exact pitch perfect Jason Statham impression that you did, he says that exact series of lines.
Yeah. Well, you don't have snakes and ladders in the States. What are you on about? In it.
What, you mental?
Tommy.
Doug. Yeah. All right.
No, it's perfect. Yeah. This movie's dumb and bad. So what are the silver linings?
Did we cover all the dumb and bad parts? Are we
impossible? Good? Impossible task.
I think I want to say this before we can pivot, but before we do, I think we need to be clear that the biggest thing with Peter Berg, and I respect him. I think he's a good director. He's obviously done a lot of good work.
Yeah.
Either he got the idea in his head or someone told him to try to make a Michael Bay movie. And that is very clear that they want this to be a Michael Bay movie. And it's not. It's like, no. I hate to break it to you, but you're not doing what he does.
No, it doesn't have the sense of fun. It doesn't have the character dynamics that actually make Michael Bay movies worthwhile. I mean, he's made some garbage. Let's be fair.
Yeah, I mean,
but he's also made Bad Boys.
Right. Well, Bad Boys 2 specifically.
And Bad Boys 2. Yeah.
Bad Boys is
great.
fine. But Bad Boys 2 is
phenomenal.
Is his
and
Bad Boys 2 is his magnum opus, I think.
I mean, I think you're right, even though I think my favorite of his is The Rock.
Also great. Yeah. But no, he's made some bangers, but he always swings for the fences. I think the other thing that just, if you're going to be true to the Bay spirit, is, you know, Peter Berg has a clear style. You watch Friday Night Lights. I know what his aesthetic style is. And he changed it to try to make a Michael Bay movie. And Michael Bay pretty famously said that he won't change his style for anyone because that's what pussies do. So,
yeah.
Well,
that's the thing. Like, even like Peter Berg's made like big budget action movies. Like he made Hancock, and that still feels like a Peter Berg movie.
Right. This feels like Peter Berg trying to do something that isn't his style. And it's very evident. And I don't know if that was studio pressure or what, but it's a weird fit. And I just wanted to mention that because there are moments where it's like, oh, the clip at the beginning, the way the camera's working, you know,
it's so Michael Bay.
It's so Michael Bay. And I don't know that the Michael Bay version of Battleship would have been good, but I think it would have been more entertaining than this.
I don't think it would have been Aliens.
No, I don't think it would have. He would have picked a country. I mean, again, Bad Boys 2 is just Cuba. Like, he has no problem being like,
he did do Transformers, which is Aliens. So maybe he would have done Aliens.
But I think for this, he wouldn't have cared. I think he does Aliens if it makes sense, because Transformers is about aliens. But
yeah,
I don't think he would have shied away from picking a country to go to war with. He loves his military propaganda, and he would have reveled in getting the U.S. Navy involved, which I guess that's a good place as any to pivot in that, like, you know, there are real people that got involved in this, including, you know, I think the biggest silver lining is that they had a character who, you know, is a double amputee played by a double amputee who is actually, you know, a veteran.
And was actually one of the first double amputees to be a base commander.
Right. So
later on.
Already credit for that, because so many Hollywood movies would have cast
Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah, would have done the Lieutenant Dan thing, would have cast
Gary Sinise.
Literally Gary
famously
Sinise.
Two-legged Gary Sinise.
Yeah, that's like the most famous thing about him. Well, there's two things about Gary Sinise, is that he has two legs, and my grandmother irrationally loves him so much, and I don't know
irrationally
why. She loves Gary Sinise more than any person has ever loved any actor. She recently found some story that I think it was something with the troops that he did from like a few years ago, and said that he should be Times Person of the Year. She loves her Gary Sinise. So God bless her.
Someone needs to.
And it's my grandmother.
So Gary Sinise, if you're listening, and we know that you are.
Yeah.
Shout out to Joel's grandma.
Also, Gary Sinise, if you're listening, I just need you to know she tasted like cigarettes.
It's true.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah.
Magic legs.
You ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan. That movie. We can never talk about Forrest Gump, which is a shame.
That movie is the most treacly pap ever.
But it's so loved.
That movie was made for social studies teachers to show when they're sick of teaching.
Oh man,
bless Bob Zemeckis for doing so.
No, you could set your clock to, I know it's the end of the semester because all of a sudden we're watching Forrest Gump again. Like, you and I are the exact right age that VCR on wheels got rolled into your classroom, and that VHS tape of Forrest Gump got popped in just to watch. And that was a good, what's that like? That's week,
like 3
right?
days. That's
three
like 3
periods.
4 days.
Yeah. Like of just
easy.
watching Forrest Gump, which I've now, that's why I think all of us, it's ingrained in our like it's seared into our brains.
I'm fairly certain I could recite that movie.
Yeah.
And it's treacly pap.
What's your favorite dumb Forrest Gump line? Because I know mine is, I don't know why. My favorite line is, God didn't make Jenny a bird, but he did make it so she didn't have to live with her dad anymore. Because what?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think just when he ruins Jenny's roommate's towel.
Yeah, sounds good.
Like, that seems weird and unnecessary.
He ruins a lot of stuff. Towels, Black Panther parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about wrecking your Black Panther party might be the best line in the movie.
It's a very good line.
Sorry for ruining your Black Panther party.
Oh man, me and that movie are like peas and carrots.
Anyways, real silver linings. The special effects are good.
They're good for 2012. They're
good for. I'm saying they're good for 2012. Had I seen this in the theater and been a dumb 11-year-old, I might have been impressed.
Yeah.
Is that a silver lining? I don't think it is. So let's move. Let's keep moving. The clip that we played at the beginning, in a more fun movie, that is the exact kind of stupid choice that I do. It made me smile. I have to say, when they went for it and actually had them be like, when they used the USS Missouri, famously decommissioned museum battleship that's in Pearl Harbor that I've been on, and it's awesome. And it's the whole Pearl Harbor setup, if you are ever able to get to Hawaii, is so worth it. A lot of the, like national monuments and things, they don't always live up. Pearl Harbor 100% does. It's awesome. Especially as a history nerd and especially as a history major. But yeah, they roll out the USS Missouri because it's just analog enough to get through the intense alien technology. Oh, it's great. Yeah. What a dumb choice that I love.
Well, and so that we play the clip at the beginning, but then the next thing that happens is them trying to tell Taylor Kitsch, like, well, it's never going to work. Like, first of all, it's this old ship that's a museum, but also we don't have the crew to run this ship. And then immediately, as if they heard that line and were waiting for it, a bunch of veterans roll out and are like, did somebody say need a crew? And then I believe it's AC/DC, right? Is it Thunderstruck?
It's Thunderstruck starts playing. Yeah,
Thunderstruck starts playing and they start like trashing all the museum stuff to get it out of the way to then get the ship moving.
So good.
Yeah, it's
so good.
That scene is the movie that I wanted. Well, I was going to say 2 hours of, but I don't want 2 hours of any version of this movie. It's the movie that I wanted 90 minutes of.
Yeah, that's 4 minutes of the 88-minute movie that I wanted.
Yeah, like that scene, no notes, like just fantastic. And then even the dumb stuff where he tells Rihanna to turn all the turrets the wrong way because he's gonna whip the battle, because battleships famously you can just cut the wheel and really whip them around like you're Tokyo drifting with a battleship.
According to IMDb trivia, there is a legit sailing move that you can do on like a sailboat where you drop anchor to like whip a quick turn. But even in the IMDb trivia, like this would have been catastrophic if they really did that with a battleship.
Well, yeah, first of all, the battleship is not, there's no whipping a battleship around like that. But yes, I'm sure if you drop the anchor like that, it would just ruin your day pretty much.
It would just that'd be it. But who cares? That's dumb, fun movie stuff. And honestly, shout out to Thunderstruck as one of the greatest pump up songs of all time.
It works every time. It really does. Like
it always.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it got me like a movie that cards on the table at that point, which is, I believe, about an hour and 40 minutes into it. I was so checked out of watching this. That music hit and it is Pavlovian. How much I perked up like, oh, what's happening? Oh, okay. Thunderstruck.
Oh, it's on now.
Yeah. Now it's going to happen. And then we got a good 5 minutes and then it continued on. And then we still got more of the B story with her foot caught. Her foot still caught during that scene.
And there was legit like 15 minutes of denouement after like they beat the aliens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had an entire ceremony. We had him ask Liam Neeson, who we haven't talked about at all, the fact that the girl's dad is Liam Neeson and does say something about Taylor Kitsch having a set of skills. Like he says something about his skills and in reference to his daughter. And I was like, I'm sorry, Liam Neeson, you can't say the word skills and daughter in sentences that aren't taken movies. Like that's just been taken from you, frankly.
Hey, there it is.
I love Liam Neeson so much, but I love that his American accent is either I am Liam Neeson or like, it's like, I sound like this, I'm an American. And he goes back and forth in this movie where he sometimes is doing what he thinks is an American accent and sometimes he's doing an Irish accent that we're pretending is American.
Yeah. It's Skarsgård, who I feel like has done better American accents both before and since, also does the bad English version of an American accent when he's talking in this movie.
I think he probably did it as a bit. He didn't care.
I would hope so.
Also, we already pivoted, but what is the timeline of Taylor Kitsch's not in the Navy in the opening scene? And then we get the title Battleship, and then he's an officer at the same base.
6 years. They
Passes?
said it in the Wikipedia synopsis.
Did they say that in the movie? Because I didn't catch that. So 6 years passed. No one in the movie went anywhere. They're all on the same base 6 years later.
6 years of Arrested Development.
Waiting for Taylor Kitsch to get promoted. Yeah.
Or maybe dishonorably discharged. One or the other.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, he asked Liam Neeson if he can marry his daughter, and he's like, no. And then I couldn't figure out if he was doing it. It seems like he did not relent, but he did invite him over for dinner at the end.
Yeah.
He's like,
and I feel like he did warm, but it's like, well, you did save planet Earth from these aliens. You know, that's the next step, but I don't know.
Yeah. And yeah, he invites him over for dinner and says, like, you know, I make a particular set of dishes. I make a casserole.
I have a particular set of grills.
I don't have a lot of money, but what I do have is a Shoppers Food Warehouse card.
Got a Ralph's card.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I respect the swing for the post-credits scene.
You know, you never know. We might have gotten Battleship 2: Scotland. It might have happened.
Yeah, the famous sequel to the board game Battleship.
Well, it's also, I love that the post-credit scene for Battleship does not take place on the water. Were they just trying to get away from it? They were really, maybe it was going to tie into a different game.
It's Risk is the second one.
Because, yeah, it's if you didn't stay for the post-credit scenes, and why would you? It is a group of kids in Scotland find, I guess it's like an escape pod that they find something. And a man that is maybe one of their dads, I'm not sure, it doesn't matter, shows up.
Just a guy.
A guy shows up with a lot of tools, and they are able to burrow their way into the escape pod. And then it's clear that the weird alien, we haven't talked about the way the aliens look, but the like, you know, kind of cavemanish with a little bit of chin facial hair aliens, like one of them.
And weird hands, like pokes its way out of the escape pod to tease that now they're in Scotland.
Yep. Oh man, what if we lived in a world where we got Battleship 2 Scotland and it turned out that the Loch Ness monster had to show up to help them defeat the aliens, and that's what it was about. They were trying to get Nessie back, who was one of their escaped space dinosaurs. Yeah,
they're trying to. That's what the whole thing was, trying to get Nessie back. And then they set up a 10x10 grid on Loch Ness
to try to find Nessie, who's invisible.
And whoever finds Nessie is able to win the battleship.
Berg, if you're listening, buddy, hit us up.
I mean, legacy sequels are all the rage.
Also, Hasbro, if you're listening, we'll take any dump truck full of money for any one of your properties. You give Andy and I 15 minutes, and we'll give you a pitch as good as Battleship, if not better.
We will, yeah, whatever game, whatever toy, we'll make it at least as good a pitch as Battleship.
Oh man, you want to hear our Guess Who pitch? It's so good.
It's all about witness protection programs and trying to find that missing person. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and it's a person who has that Mary Lou Henner like perfect memory thing, but you have to ask them the very specific set of questions about whether the person had glasses or facial hair or not, because like they remember everything, so they know too much information. So you have to narrow it down to specificity of physical characteristics in order to find the killer.
Just in time. Mm-hmm. And it's perfect. You want us to make an operation game?
The killer's name is Just in Time, by the way. That's
just in time. Yes.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, you want us to make an Operation game? We'll make an Operation movie.
Oh, man. We'll definitely make an Operation. And it is
someone's implanted a bomb inside of Cavity Sam, and only one guy can.
Played by Will Ferrell.
Yes.
Yeah. Who's awake
and then
the whole time.
Yeah. And you just hear him scream as you get too close to a different part of the body.
And they keep removing all the weird stuff that you remove, the water on the knee and all the stuff that's in the
butterflies in the stomach.
But then it's Will Ferrell justifying. Oh, well, when I ate them, they were caterpillars. It's just a lot of that. Like he's making it to him. Nothing that they think is weird. Right. Yeah. But he also swallowed a bomb.
Yes, he also swallowed a bomb, and it's a race against time. And the surgeon is played by Chris Hemsworth. Why not?
Yeah, why not? It's Chris Hemsworth.
Having fun.
Who's Will Ferrell's son.
Yes. And it turns out that he actually put the bomb in there because he's the villain. Twist.
Yeah, Will Ferrell's son is the villain.
And that's why he keeps delaying the surgery by pulling out the wrong stuff so that the bomb can detonate.
He knew exactly what it was the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's what the anesthesiologist figures out, played by Rebecca Ferguson, obviously.
Yes, clearly.
And she has to save the day.
Yeah. So we got a cast. We've got an outline. Holler at your boys.
Come on, Hasbro. What are you even doing?
We already pitched you Snakes and Chutes and Ladders. We pitched you Guess Who. We pitched you the sequel to Battleship, Risk. We pitched Operation Mousetrap. You don't think we can make a Mousetrap movie?
Okay, Andy, do you think they're ready for the Mousetrap pitch?
Oh, they better be.
Okay, so check it, right? And I have this clear, so obviously I know what it is.
Oh yeah, we've talked about this extensively.
Yeah. So there's a mouse played by that one guy from from Challengers. It's the the two guys from Challengers are both mice, obviously, because they look like mice, and one of them has stolen the queen's jewels, the crown jewels. Yeah. And Buckingham Palace has installed these very, they had all these things to catch you, but they didn't think a mouse would do it. So none of their traps, they have all these ability to do all these traps, but they're too big because they're for humans.
Right, because they're for people.
Because they're for people. So then on the fly, an inventor played by Andy. Who was it that we said it was the inventor was going to be played by in the
Danny
movie?
DeVito.
Danny DeVito. Who hates mice, famously.
Hates mice.
He has to build the traps to convert his human traps to catch the mice before the mice gets away with the queen's jewels, which do have a bomb in them.
Yes.
That's a failsafe.
Yeah.
That's put in there.
The queen is played by Jason Statham.
Obviously. And I know what you're wondering. Yes, he does a high-pitched voice and wears a wig.
Yeah, it's about as accurate as Scott Thompson's Kids in the Hall, Queen of England.
It's perfect. No so notes. There you go. Yeah. So that's
5 movies we pitched you this week.
Yeah. And I forgot to mention, obviously, the two mice that are played by the guys from Challengers do have a love triangle with Zendaya. That goes without saying.
Of course. Yeah, that goes without saying.
Yeah. Who she's part of the British, Queen's Guard.
Yeah. She's one of the big furry hat guys that guards Buckingham Palace.
So she famously can't smile.
But you see her smirk a little bit when the mice get away at the end.
Because she wants them to get away.
Yeah.
Because they actually snuck in her big poofy hat.
Yes. They're ratatouilleing her the rest of the time.
They were ratatouilleing her. God, man.
We're geniuses.
Holler at your boys.
Silver Linings Playback is a production of HoboTrashCan.com. If you enjoyed the show, please rate or review it on Apple Podcasts. Hear more great shows on the Peak Sloth Podcast Network.